again, coming to you live review of Housewives of Atlanta Season 4. This week was pretty boring, but nevertheless, Phaedra tries to come in with the cake, come into Candy's store to apologize for inviting that stripper, hiring the stripper, and the stripper apparently put his stuff on top of Joyce's head and also put his stuff in Candy's drink and stirred it. This was very disgusting. I can understand why someone's mom wouldn't want to be there for that. And I think Phaedra was irresponsible by doing that because, like they said, her mother was nowhere to be found in the event, and she would have never did that with her holier-than-thou mom being there. So Phaedra need to check herself, and I don't think a cake can take all that away. She need to apologize to Joyce herself. The thing about the cake, I really didn't think that was cool how she brought the cake over there in a beautiful glass cake plate with her own initials on it, and when Candy was like, oh, this is very pretty, do I get to keep this? Whose initials are these? She was like, mine. And no, you can't keep my cake plate. I gotta keep my cake plate. I gotta get that back. That's mine. I'm like, wow, if you give somebody something, make sure everything that you bring to them is gonna be theirs. Why would you want her to have to wash the cake plate, get it back to you and all that? That's just too much, doing too much. Too much. Alright, now we're going to move along to Cynthia. Cynthia was the MC to introduce some models at this event she had. Anyway, Cynthia didn't know what they were wearing. She didn't say anything right. She kept making mistakes and kept saying, oops, oh, I made a mistake. Oops, I made a mistake. How can you keep making a mistake if you knew about this? If you already knew about this, you should have went over the material at hand. You needed to know what the people's names were, what they were wearing, and it would have came off fine. But no, Cynthia was not prepared, and anytime you do any public speaking, you need to be prepared for what you are talking about. You need to know your facts, all that. So I would recommend that Cynthia would take a class. Anyway, another thing that had me curious was the way Apollo looked at Cynthia when she arrived. He was just looking at her like she was the most beautiful thing in the world, while Phaedra was sitting right next to him. I don't know what he on, but I don't know. It's kind of suspicious. Kind of suspicious about Apollo, and that's not the only time. Every time he saw her in this particular episode, he was looking at her in some kind of way. I'm kind of curious. I don't know that dude's name. It's the gay guy, the one that does charades here. This man has changed from last season to this season. Now all of a sudden he want to wear heels. He want to put makeup on. He want to wear girl clothes, period. He doesn't look good in girl clothes, and he need to quit. He don't need to try to be like that other dude. The one that does Kim's hair and her wigs. He already look ridiculous. Now both of them sitting up there looking crazy. If you're going to be gay, just be gay. It don't make no sense trying to stuff your big old feet in them stilettos. That's why women wear stilettos. When they have pretty feet, they look good. If your feet are ugly and they're big, they don't wear them. And I don't know why they want to wear them. Anyway, let's go move along to Cynthia and her sister and her mom had a discussion about Peter and his business and the sister's problem with Peter. First of all, I think Cynthia just needs to stop discussing Peter with them, because she's not going to leave Peter. She even offered Peter help behind their back again, talking about, I got your back, this, that, and this. But when she's in front of them, she's trying to say, oh, the check bounced one of his investors, I'm worried. Why are you telling them all of Peter's business? It is none of their business. And that all they're going to do is have something to say, and you don't need to hear that. You don't need to have them against Peter. Peter is Peter, and you're going to be with him. You love him, and keep them out of it. Now, we're going to talk about Sheree at the park with her children, and her baby daddy shows up, her ex-husband. Anyway, she said she needed to talk to him, so they go to the table, and Sheree laid it all on the table, like, I need you to start paying child support. You haven't paid me child support in 4 years. I need you to pay child support. I agree the man needs to pay child support. I agree with that. But you waited all this time, 4 years. Is it because you building Chateau Sheree and you need some more money to help you build that? For you to have this skating rink and massage parlor and theater and all this other good stuff, probably a McDonald's. I don't know, but she want all this stuff, and now she's hitting this man up for money. I don't know what happened to her clothing line. I haven't seen She by Sheree anywhere. I went online one time, it wasn't available. I'm going to go back again and look, because I need to see how she thinks she can afford this mansion that she's building. I know that in Atlanta it's a little bit different. As far as property is a lot cheaper than where I'm from. I'm from California, so our property is sky high. And in Atlanta you can get things cheaper, but Sheree is doing a lot right now. He also mentioned that Sheree is rocking $15,000 bags. So if you're rocking these kind of bags and your son didn't have a haircut in the other episode, I don't know what you're doing. You kind of like need to cut back on your spending and do a little bit more for the kids too. Although I'm not saying he don't need to pay his child support, but what is your motive here, Sheree? Then you turn around and you go see Phaedra and tell her you want to seek child support and you need her help, and then when she tell you to say the word, she'll file the paper. You ain't trying to file the paper. You start crying. What are you crying for? Either you need the money, you want the money, or you don't. Are you still in love with this man or something? Why do you care if you go to jail if you need money for your kids? You need to put your kids first, or either leave the man alone, or whatever. But she says she can get the money, and if he don't come to court with the check, then he gonna be trying to get a check, because he will be going to jail if he doesn't pay you. So I don't know what's going on with you. Are y'all gonna get back together? This is my first time seeing him in this is the fourth season. This is my first time ever knowing who he is. So I don't know what this is about. Let's move along to. We're gonna move along to Peters. We're going to move along to Peters' grand opening at Bar 1. Well, his sneak peek, because it's not even finished yet. But Peter couldn't wait to see what kind of crowd he was going to draw. They was clowning Peter because it was in the hood. They was like, oh, I'm scared. Well, look at this. They was passing by all these buildings and stuff, all these houses with graffiti on them and stuff, trying to clown Sheree and her hairdresser. They was passing by all this ghetto stuff, and they was like, oh, there it is, Bar 1. They was worried, though, like, where we at? So everybody gets there. Everybody's there. Nene is supposed to be there because earlier she had came to check everything out, and she was going to be the co-host. She had a scarf on her head. She wanted to hurry up and leave so she can go get ready for the night. But when it finally came to that time, Nene wasn't there. Nene was nowhere to be found. It was going on, and Cynthia seemed like she picked up her phone to call Nene, and I don't know what happened, what Nene said, but Phaedra had her other two friends in there. Charles, the one that used to go with Nene, or some rumor of him going with Nene. And they start asking this man questions about him and Nene's relationship. And I think Phaedra is just trying to start something. And when Nene find out, it's going to be all hell to pay, because Nene ain't going to like that too much. She already don't like Phaedra. She don't like Sheree. So, when Nene did finally get there, Nene walks over, hugs Peter. and hugs Cynthia, hugs Candy. She didn't say nothing to Phaedra. She didn't say nothing to Sheree, and she didn't say nothing to that Charles dude. Charles already said that he didn't like Nene because Nene was too much into herself. That was before she got there, and he said that when he did go out with her, he dropped her back at the hotel because he didn't like her. So I guess that was the end of the whole thing. But they trying to say it was more going on between them, but that's all he had to say. So when Nene got there and didn't speak to him, Nene ignored him like he wasn't even there. Just walked around, speaking to everybody else, shaking everybody's hand. But Peter wanted her to be there to unveil this portrait he had painted of his wife on the wall with a big afro. Anyway, I don't know. The picture was cool to me. She's a very pretty lady to me. I don't know. I don't think Phaedra liked it. Somebody had something to say about the afro. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully Peter is successful this time. He may have mentioned that he got the money himself. I don't know how true that is, because Cynthia did offer him the money. She could have snuck and gave him the money. I don't know. But he said he was a Jamaican and he make things happen. And it looked like he did make it happen. It looks really nice in there. I like it. I can't wait to visit Atlanta to see it. Okay, this is Diva Shell. This is my review of Housewives of Atlanta. Thank you. Leave your comments below, like or dislike. See you next week.